World Conference of Women's Shelters held in The Hague. New UN facts and figures on violence against women. And SheFighter, strengthening and empowering women in Jordan. Good evening for WWN. I am Aldith Hunkar. The third World Conference of Women's Shelters has started in The Hague in Netherlands. In 4 days' time, participants from over 100 countries will focus on how to connect and act in their joint mission to end violence against women. European royalty, international dignitaries, and experts from the work field will all work together in a framework of 5 themes that will be highlighted later on in this news program. During the first World Conference of Women's Shelters in Edmonton, Canada, in 2008, the plan was launched to organize a global conference every 4 years. In 2012, the second conference was organized in Washington, D.C., and attended by more than 1,000 delegates from over 80 countries. The results of those conferences were the connection between global participants who shared their best practices and knowledge. They realized how similar their experiences are and were inspired to see how many people are committed to doing this work. The strengthening of regional, national, and continental networks and the start of a global network. A global data count, one-day count of how many women and children ask for help from women's shelters around the world. And renewed hope and energy to continue working for positive change. And today marks the start of the third World Conference of Women's Shelters, building on the foundations laid down by its predecessors. The main objective is to connect and act, a call upon all parties, whether they be private, corporate, national or international, to take responsibility for the elimination of violence against women and children. And the 5 themes this week are economic independence of women survivors, sustainable financing and advocacy, transboundary violence against women, international exchange and cooperation, continents, what's happening, strengthening regional networks, and innovative approaches to eliminating violence against women and supporting survivors. The UN recently released a report about violence against women containing collected data from 89 countries. The good news is that the number of countries collecting data has risen from 44 over the past decade. The report contains shocking data as shown in this world map. Women across the world, regardless of income, age, or education, are subject to physical, sexual, psychological, and economical violence. Intimate partner violence accounts for the majority of women's experience of violence. Prevalence of sexual violence is lower than that of physical violence. However, in intimate relationships, they are often experienced together. 1 in 3 women has experienced physical or sexual violence at some point in their lives. 2 in 3 victims of intimate partner and family-related homicide are women. Less than 40% of women who experience violence seek help of any sort, and of those, less than 10% seek help from the police. This is the case in almost all countries with data, so it's a good thing that the Dutch National Police is an active partner in this conference. Now, these findings are not new, they are the reason for this conference. They show beyond any doubt the need of joint efforts and joint responsibility to end violence against women. Yo soy esa mujer, I am that woman. I am the woman that you are talking about. In the southern part of Mexico, a woman from a rural indigenous community was in a violent relationship for years, but had the courage to leave her village and seek help at a women's shelter in the town of San Cristobal de las Casas. She felt empowered by the program, and alimony was arranged, which gave her the possibility to start a new life.
Mi corazón es que es muy grande, porque antes sentía que yo no valía para nada. Rechacé mi cuerpo, yo rechacé todo lo que yo sentía porque había tanta humillación o porque había tantos problemas. Pero ya ahorita ya no. ¿Por qué vienes a quejar? Si tu marido lo conozco bien, es mi amigo. ¿Tú qué piensas? Si eres mujer, regresa en tu casa, vete a lavar. O no tienes trabajo en tu casa, es lo que dicen las autoridades.
Hay usos y costumbres que le hacen mucho daño a las mujeres indígenas. Cuando una mujer llega directamente al juzgado de paz y conciliación, a mí no me avisan. Prefieren resolverlo entre hombres. El hombre de acá sí le tiene más respeto a las autoridades tradicionales que a cualquier otra autoridad.
He visto casos en donde pues, las mujeres salen totalmente golpeadas o a veces demandadas. La mujer llega a pedir pensión alimenticia, pero el marido mañoso la contrademanda diciendo que esos hijos no son de él y que ella es una mala mujer, que se mete con todo el mundo, y entonces la mujer sale demandada.
Ellos dicen, pues es mi mujer, yo tengo derecho sobre ella, si yo la compré.
Un día cuando mi esposo llegó tomado, me golpeó, me corrió. Era noche ya como las 7:30. Me fui corriendo con mis hijos, sin dirección dónde voy. Me fui a sentar en una esquina. Dios mío, ¿qué voy a hacer? Con llanto salí allí. Y me fui en un lugar, en una casa de su familia. Y yo le dije, préstame una noche tu casa porque aquí voy a quedar. Yo misma sentía yo muy mal. Cuando llegué en Hague, me llevaron en un refugio. Y allí me quedé 3 meses y medio con mis hijos. Te dan más valor, te dan fuerzas lo que no tienes o lo que no puedes pensar. Escuchan lo que sentimos o entienden lo que sentimos. Y allí me apoyaron con un abogado. Y ahorita tengo la casa, tengo el pensión. Aunque la gente no me valora, pero yo mismo me valoro. Yo porque yo sé que valgo mucho.
This is a story about women starting a help center for victims of domestic violence in Vilnius, Lithuania, supported by women from the Nordic countries and volunteers. The help center works with the police to heighten attention to domestic violence based on the new violence law that results from a lobby by women's organizations.
So we have new approach. When the police receive a report from women experiencing domestic violence, they not only start the investigation, but they send the report to our specialized help center. After receiving this report, we proactively contact the victim, and mostly the services that we provide are proactive consultations, women empowerment, and reinforcement of women's rights. As a women organization, we are confident and competent to assess the safety of the women, her way of processing it, and to establish the connection of and relationship of trust. When the contact is established and she's ready to take steps, we explain her rights, what institutions could and should do on her request, how to be safe from violence. We offer her specialized psychological and legal aid and help her to write her statements, mediate on her behalf in the institutions, and support the women through the whole process towards her independence and safety from violence. So it's not only about giving her a bed, it's about educating the women and seeking redress of her rights. We stay strong for more than 20 years, and in sisterhood we trust.
Women's shelters should be extra alert for signs of strangulation in women, says Pat Vargas of A Safe Place in Canada. In a study of 300 strangulation victims, the statistics show how difficult it is to recognize the signs of strangulation. Yet strangulation often results in serious health issues. 85% of the respondents reported persistent difficulty with breathing. Nearly 45% reported voice changes or difficulty with swallowing. 83% reported anxiety and also reported loss of sensation, left or right-sided weakness, neck pain, and miscarriage. And Ms. Pat Vargas will give a workshop on the subject on Friday. Lily Thapa from Nepal advocates improvement of the position of widows in her country. Traditionally, widows belong to their deceased husband's family. They are often victims of sexual violence and slavery. Through various actions, Lily has been increasingly successful in supporting these widows.
The situation of widows in Nepal is miserable. Widowhood makes them physically alive but socially dead. Widows are the most neglected and rapidly increasing category of women. The rituals of breaking bangles, having to eat plain food, restricted from participating in any auspicious function, restricted mobility, deprivation from getting share of husband's property, and abject poverty make their life pitiable and desperate. Early marriage practices and the recent conflict have further intensified the plight, especially those of young widows, making them vulnerable to exploitation and trafficking. Women for Human Rights Single Women Group, WHR, a non-profit organization, was established in 1994 with the vision to create non-discriminatory and equitable society so that single women are empowered economically, politically, and socio-culturally to live dignified lives enjoying values of human rights.
And now with us in the studio, talking to Jacobine Geel, is Lily Thapa.
When did you personally decide to stand up and speak about this issue of violence against widows in Nepal?
Actually, when I became a widow at a very young age, when I was just 29, when my husband died in a peace mission in Iraq, in Gulf War. So I, being an independent and educated widow, I have to go through a lot of a trauma in my whole family and outside in the workplace. So I decided to advocate.
It is almost, for me, when I see this, as if you are punished when you become a widow.
Yes, I'm from the country where, the women are, in the past, women were burnt alive in the funeral pyre of the deceased husbands. But that practice is no more now. But what we have experienced that the widows are physically alive, but they are socially dead. Due to the many ill cultural practices that every woman in my country have to go through after their husband's death, which is too inhuman.
And what is the focus of your actions now?
Actually, we do advocate for the rights of the widows. We have many ill cultural practices that we are trying to change the mindset of the people from the community. And beside that, we have a lot of discriminatory legal policies at legal level. So we already have changed 5, 6 discriminatory legal policies from our country code. And on top of that, we build the capacity of the young widows, because in my country, more than 67% of the widows are in between 20 to 35 years of age, having 3 to 4 children in an average. And surprisingly, if you just look at this data, last data of the census, over 80% are totally uneducated. So you can imagine how much they have to depend on the male family members, where they get all kind of the physical and the sexual harassment.
Are you hopeful about the future of widows in Nepal?
Of course, it's been 20 years that we keep, we've been doing the advocacy, and we keep advocate on the rights of the widows. I'm very much hopeful of that, and we've been able to change a lot of discriminatory legal policies from the country code in my country. But the widows' issues is not only the issues of Nepal. It is a global issue.
You feel strengthened by this conference?
Of course, because due to the conflict, due to the HIV/AIDS, and due to the natural disasters, and due to the poverty, many young women have turned into the widowed. But surprisingly, the widows' issues has not been incorporated in any of the international human rights and the declarations.
Thank you for addressing it here, and all the best with your work.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
and I am very hopeful of this conference that everyone will keep advocate on the rights of the widows until there will be no discrimination on the basis of the marital status. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lina Khalife from Jordan founded SheFighter, a school for self-defense and empowerment for women of all ages. The results of SheFighter are so promising that even the American President Obama mentioned them in his speech.
My name is Lina Khalife. I'm 29 years old from Amman, Jordan, and I'm the founder of SheFighter. So SheFighter is the first self-defense studio designed to empower women both physically and psychologically through self-defense training. Back in 2004, one of my friends, she used to work so hard after university to earn her living, but every time she goes home, her brother and her father used to beat her up and take her money. So I asked her once, why don't you do anything about all the abuse and harassment you get from your family? And she said, I can't do anything about it. So I thought about training women self-defense, and I started with only 2 girls, and I started in 2004 at the basement of my house. I started training SheFighter for girls at schools and universities, and now I managed to actually train girls at the rural areas and train trainers that actually can train in other schools. And the policy for SheFighter is women only, so the trainers have to be all females.
I am a SheFighter.
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 Soy una SheFighter.
I am a 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 SheFighter.
Moving on to more severe subjects, rape of women and girls as a weapon of war has always been there, but recently it has been more openly used, for example, in countries of former Yugoslavia and in Rwanda. The International Crime Court, presided over by Judge Joyce Alwatch, has made it a mission to end impunity.
I am Joyce Alwatch, the first Vice President of the International Criminal Court here at The Hague. I want to start by congratulating the organizers of this conference, the 3rd Global Conference on Women's Shelter 2015. I note the high participation at this conference, especially that one of the keynote speakers will be Queen Maxima of the Netherlands. Congratulations to the organizers. At the International Criminal Court, we deal with war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and the definition of war crimes includes rape, sexual violence, forced prostitution, only to mention a few. These are crimes that are principally committed against women and therefore violate the rights of women. And I'm glad that this conference, you will address all these crimes and know that there is a permanent court that deals with the perpetrators of these crimes. Thank you.
Judge Alwatch. On Thursday, Dr. Denis Mukwege, also known as the man who mends women, will deliver a keynote on this subject. He's not only a doctor, but also a human rights activist, working specifically towards eradicating sexual violence as a weapon of war. I am that woman that you are talking about, a woman from the Netherlands. She was a teenager when she fell in love with the wrong guy.
Ik ben verliefd geraakt op een jongen. En hij maakte nog wel indruk op mij met zijn uiterlijk. En hij had voor mij een doosje bonbons meegenomen. En dan, een doosje bonbons is eigenlijk helemaal niet speciaal. Maar juist omdat ik uit zo'n slechte relatie kwam waarin ik nooit niks kreeg, was dat doosje bonbons voor mij wel heel erg speciaal, want ik kende dat niet. Ik had dat nog nooit gehad. Ja, eigenlijk de eerste 3 weken ging het heel goed. Wij kregen een relatie. En eigenlijk daarna werd het steeds erger. Als ik niet luisterde, dan sloeg hij me. Uiteindelijk ben ik dus gedwongen door hem om in de prostitutie te gaan werken. En uiteindelijk ook om naar de Dominicaanse Republiek te gaan voor drugsmokkel. Ik ben daar opgepakt, veroordeeld. Ik heb daar 10 jaar gekregen in hoger beroep, dus verlaagd naar 5. Na 5 jaar ben ik teruggekomen naar Nederland. En vanuit daar ben ik eigenlijk aan mijn toekomst gaan werken. Heb ik op de bocht gewoond, mijn vrouwenopvang. En vanuit daar stap voor stap aan mezelf gaan werken. En ben ik mee voorlichtingen gaan geven. En toen ik daarmee ben begonnen, wilde ik heel graag uit iets negatiefs iets positiefs halen. Door met jongeren voorlichting te geven, maar ook in gesprek te gaan. Bewust maken en bespreekbaar maken zowel over loverboys, maar ook over seksualiteit en grenzen met betrekking tot relaties, ongezonde en gezonde relaties. Wat is nou het verschil daarin? En ik denk door mijn ervaring te delen met hun, bereik ik mijn doel, zeg maar. Ik schaam me eigenlijk niet voor wat ik heb meegemaakt. Ik ben wie ik ben en jij bent een slachtoffer. Maar ik wil ook niet graag gezien worden als alleen een slachtoffer. Ik heb meer te bieden dan alleen slachtoffer te zijn.
According to the UN statistics we showed earlier, only 10% of abused women ask the police for help. The Dutch National Police Corps has prioritized violence, which includes child abuse and sexual abuse. The Director Operations of the Dutch Police Corps, Paye de Meij, is here.
Violence against women and children is a serious safety problem in society. In the Netherlands, we count a yearly average of 45 casualties, 119,000 abused children, and more than 2,000 adults, mostly women who face or fear violence. Our role as a police is to protect, to limit, and to confirm. We want to be a trustworthy partner in protecting women and children in need. We want to limit the abuse of women and children. And we want to confirm in every way that we can that domestic violence is unacceptable. Although safety is our core business, we receive a notification of domestic violence every 6 minutes. It is impossible to act solo on this. Since 2004, we therefore have chosen for an intensive cooperation with partner organizations, such as the Dutch Foundation of Women's Shelters. We share information. We developed a screening instrument and an alarm device, but sadly, absolute safety is not makeable. We still face fatal casualties every year, women who called in our help. Everything in us screams that especially these women and children deserve to live happily ever after. We will never find a solution to the problem, but knowing that is a raw deal. But we do have 65,000 police officers who want to protect anyone who faces violence. Women, children, men, homosexuals, anyone. And we know in what direction we must head. The answer lies in connecting with partners, both national and international. It lies in combining our instruments, sharing our information, and be willing to learn. We, as police, want to learn from you. And we love to share with you in workshops all we learned so far and what we stand for. Well-informed and connected to the bone, we can act together. We must, for the sake of safety and justice. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you an inspiring conference.
The Nigerian theatre group Hear Word would have loved to be a part of the conference. The good news is they will visit the Netherlands next year. In their work, they highlight all the positive and negative aspects of being a woman in Nigeria. They don't shun taboos, and they do succeed in affecting their audience.
Here Word is a piece of performance art from Nigeria which combines artistry, social commentary, and true life stories of inequality and transformation.
I say, he beats me. Then they say, what again? What is what again? Is that not enough? Our wife. A man must sometimes beat his wife to help her understand her place. She is weak, you see.
Enough is enough. Step up, stand for, speak out, accept nothing less. It is time for change.
Violence against women can happen anytime, anywhere, and to any woman. Take, for example, Linor Abargil, Miss Israel and Miss World in 1998. 6 weeks before she became Miss World, she was brutally raped. She used her platform to get her story out in the open and to stimulate other women to do the same. And that is why she truly is brave Miss World.
I never wanted to be in pageants, but the prize was a trip to Thailand and a new car.
I won the car before I had the license, so for me it was like heaven.
Miss World 1998, Mrs.
I was paralyzed. So I started screaming, so he punched my face, and then he tied my hand and started to strangle me. Those were the longest hours of my life. I want to shout out that rape can happen to anyone.
I was raped when I was 17 years old.
A man broke into my house, stabbed me, and raped me.
My mom, I'm afraid that she'll look at me and be disappointed.
Shame and shock and fear.
She tried to convince me that it was my fault.
It's hard to go with all this weight on my shoulders.
I don't want to talk about what happened in Italy, or to think about it.
Someone gave me the courage to speak out when I was raped. It was my mother. She never let me feel ashamed.
Linor said, "Ima, הוא עבד עליי, הוא אנס אותי, הוא ניסה לרצוח אותי." I can't forget this.
And there's nothing I wouldn't do.
This work is bringing up a lot. I'm reopening my wounds.
So you will never admit to this crime?
No, ma'am. And I will go to fight.
אני לא רוצה שהוא ישתחרר בשום פנים ואופן, אני רוצה שהוא ישלם על מה שהוא עשה.
I'm here to see you through. Oh, I'm here to see you through. I'm here to see you through. We can survive.
Even if it can help only one girl or two girls, this just has to be done.
For more than 15 years now, you've been advocating the right of women to speak up about violence. Does your own experience still haunt you from time to time?
First of all, hi everyone. I'm very, very excited to be here. I feel that I have the privilege to be here and exchange ideas with people from all around the world and helping women overcome violence and adversity. What I've been through is with me, it's a part of who I am, but it's not who I am. I am a strong woman, I speak out, and I want everyone that sits here and around the world to do what I did, because women together is power.
Yes.
And we should stay together.
And can you, because you have heard during the past 15 years a lot of examples of women who were inspired by your example and also dared to speak up. Can you say what can help people to overcome an experience like that?
First of all, I don't think any woman should be ashamed of what happened to her. To be raped is a violent thing. It's nothing sexual, it's a violent thing. It's about control, somebody controlling your heart, your body, your soul. And I believe the only way to heal is to speak out. Speak out. No one speaks. No one. Nothing can change. Laws cannot change if no one speaks.
Do you see any progress over the past 15 years?
Wow. Step by step, small steps, but nothing major, nothing seriously. I wish. That's why the film that the conference represents, my film, Brave Miss World, now you're going to see it tomorrow with the Queen. So I'm very excited for that. The film is going all around the world in the hope of really making other women open up and not to feel ashamed, not to feel that like they are by themselves, and that life moves on. And it's not how many times you fell down, it's how fast you get up.
Yeah. Thank you for your courage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Financing and developing programs for children is often not a priority, while they are the next generation. The Dutch safe house Blijf Groep has developed Tony Turtle Time, creative drama therapy for the little ones. The Hague is the international capital of peace and justice. On October 25th, the Peace Palace in The Hague was colored orange to connect to and act with the UN campaign, Unite to End Violence Against Women, a prelude to November 25th, the International Day of VAW.
Excellencies, friends, around the world, we are seeing a growing commitment to ending violence against women and girls. Eliminating violence against women is a key target in Goal 5 of our 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And it was the top commitment noted by heads of state at our historic global leaders meeting last month at the UN. Here in The Hague, you will soon host the third World Conference on Women's Shelters. This is an important forum for advancing the issue of responding to violence against women and girls and ensuring that it remains a global priority. The Secretary General's Unite to End Violence Against Women campaign, which UN Women is proud to host, has declared the 25th of each month an Orange Day. The color orange is symbolic of a brighter future, free from violence against women for both women and girls. I commend the Netherlands for showing their support for this initiative by lighting the Peace Palace orange. You will be drawing vital attention to the importance of access to services for survivors. Making sure all women and girls have access to quality essential services is vital, especially if we want to stop violence from reoccurring. This is a priority for women, and it must be a priority for all countries. I thank the Global Network of Women's Shelters, the Dutch Women's Shelters, the City of The Hague, and the Peace Palace for making this public demonstration of support possible. I cannot wait to see your results and to support your recommendation.
In the conference bag, you will find a book on the long history of women's shelters in the city of Rotterdam. The last 50 years, the focus has been mainly on violence against women, which makes this publication interesting for everybody working in the field. Emma Murphy came up with a way to use social media to help end violence against women. She's an Irish woman who suffered partner violence. Emma found the courage to publicly denounce the violence she faced, using her mobile phone as a tool.
I've been thinking long and hard and contemplating whether to post this video. And I was, and I wasn't, and I was, and I wasn't. I finally decided, after a lot of thinking, that, yeah, I need to do this for me and my children. I need to raise awareness to other women out there. I'm 26, I'm from Dublin, I have 2 children. I've been in a relationship for 3.5 years with a guy who I thought was the love of my life. He was the love of my life.
Violence against women, there's an app for that. Now time for a live column by Erica Olson, staff member at the National Network to End Domestic Violence in the USA.
Hi, good evening. So our project at the Safety Net Project at the National Network to End Domestic Violence looks at how technology can be misused against survivors. It also looks at how survivors can strategically use technology to increase their safety and their privacy. And we can talk for days about what that looks like and all the technologies that we look at. But one example is our smartphones and the apps that are on there, because there truly is an app for everything. Apps have been developed to address domestic violence, intimate partner violence, sexual assault, and stalking. Developers have tapped into every conceivable need, including personal safety, awareness building, and violence prevention. There are screening apps to help people identify abuse. There are personal safety apps to help people to connect with family, friends, and authorities in case of emergency. And there's also documentation apps to help victims if they want to collect evidence. For survivors, their phones and these available apps can be a critical component to their safety planning. However, we need to ensure that they work effectively and that they're safe before survivors actually rely on them. On one hand, this is a brilliant use of technology. Apps can be tools to educate, empower, and strategize around safety and privacy. But they can also be ineffective, they can create a false sense of security, and they can reinforce victim-blaming messages around who is responsible for safety, messages that we're trying to work against. Survivors have to consider, before using these apps, if somebody could access or monitor their device, whether the app will work effectively, and any privacy implications. We also need to work to make sure that apps, as well as any other technologies, always consider survivors and their safety in their development. Thank you.
Can violence against women end without active support from men? The people at the Interval House Hamilton in Canada don't think so, and they will give a workshop on this subject. Here's one way that men can contribute.
Later, man. See ya.
Hey guys, you want to see something?
All right, here. Whoa.
Ooh, nice, right?
Man, is that your girlfriend?
Yeah?
Man, that's not cool. What, do you not have any respect for her?
None of your business, man.
Well, yeah, it's not really any of our business. Guys, we should delete this.
Not cool, bro.
You don't have to be a BC Lion to be more than a bystander.
The deputy mayor of the city of The Hague, Ingrid van Engelshoven, has addressed the participants of the Third World Conference of Women's Shelters.
Welcome to The Hague, the international city of peace and justice. The Hague is honored to welcome the Third World Conference on Women's Shelter here in the city. And I'm also glad to tell you that the Global Network on Women's Shelter find their permanent residence here in The Hague. And I'm looking forward to build a strong and powerful relationship with the network. During the conference in the coming days, you will connect to leading professionals in the field and build on partnerships, share experience. I wish you a very successful and inspiring conference, a conference that will help to stop violence against women and children.
So, rounding up this special edition of Women World News with the global weather conditions. Mexico, stormy weather due to rape, murder and trafficking of women. Afghanistan, heavy clouds and rain, infiltration of women's shelter by Taliban, life-threatening situation for staff members. Jordan is sunny due to the success of SheFighter. The Democratic Republic of Congo, clouds and sunshine because they have Dr. Mukwege, also known as the man who mends women. In the Netherlands, bright sunshine, so many people who work with women survivors and their children every day now gathered in The Hague at this conference. Australia, heavy showers. In the first 5 weeks of 2015, 12 women were killed by their partners. And finally, the United States of America, sunny. President Obama keeps addressing elimination of violence against women and children as an important issue. And on that very bright note, we hope that at the end of this conference, you will feel inspired, energetic, and connected to old and new partners in a joint action to end all violence against women. For WWN, I am Aldith Hunkar. Good evening.